Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of WWE NXT for April the 27th, 2021. Shout out to everybody in the chat room watching this live, and thank you to everybody watching on demand as well. Let's go ahead and get started with this NXT recap. We kicked off the show with a women's match. We had Dakota Kai versus Mercedes Martinez. Raquel Gonzalez, the NXT Women's Champion, was in Dakota's corner. Nice back and forth match here between the ladies. And then Dakota was sent to the outside of the ring, and Raquel stood in front of Dakota, protecting her from Mercedes. Mercedes took a shot at Raquel, got back in the ring, was going to finish off Dakota, but then Raquel ran into the ring, attacked Mercedes, causing a disqualification. And then after the match, you had Raquel continue to beat down Mercedes, and she threw her into the barricade multiple times, trash talked in Spanish. Looks like we are going to see a babyface Mercedes Martinez against a heel Raquel Gonzalez. Even though I felt like a couple of weeks ago maybe Raquel was going to go babyface because she had that big moment with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, the three champs there, but not yet. I'm guessing at some point we're going to see the falling out between Dakota and Raquel, but not at the moment. Mercedes Martinez looking to be the next challenger for the championship. And then backstage, we had flowers arrive for the women's tag team champions, Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. Frankie Monet made a brief appearance, introducing herself to the tag champs, and she took a look at the note, which said, "Love Dexter Lumis." And both Shotzi and Ember were appalled that Dexter Lumis was apparently sending her flowers. Now, what was this all about with Dexter Lumis apparently sending flowers to other women besides Indy Hartwell? We had Cameron Grimes at a jewelry store, and he was looking at all of these fancy watches, and we had a to be continued graphic pop up. We had the grizzled young veterans in the ring for a promo. Basically said they want a match against MSK. They said it's the men that make the tag team titles. Then we had an interruption by Tommaso Ciampa and Tim Thatcher. Ciampa said he hates to interrupt, but he feels that they're similar. He feels like they're both grizzled teams, they're both veterans, they're both leaders, and they both want to face MSK. And then Thatcher talked about looking at past footage of the veterans and brought up one crowd chant from the NXT UK pay-per-view a few years back saying, "Shoes off if you hate Gibson." And Ciampa did just that. He took off his shoes and he proceeded to hit both guys with his shoes. Big fight broke out. Ciampa and Thatcher got the best of the veterans on this evening. TJS sent in a $5 super chat, off topic as always, and since it's not even wrestling, I will answer this at the end, TJS, so we'll revisit that super chat at the end. We had Drake Maverick and Killian Dane interviewed backstage, and basically Drake Maverick is afraid that Killian Dane is going to stab him in the back and join up with Imperium because of Killian Dane's history with Alexander Wolf. And Dane responded by saying that Drake just, he has to have faith. The one and only Caleb Jacobs with a $2.74 super chat says, a stalking storyline with Dexter Lumis. I'm not sure it's stalking if the other person wants to be stalked. I mean, usually stalking is when one person does not want the attention and they're getting it anyways. But yes, a little sanity reference with the past between Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf. We had an Isaiah Swerve Scott promo to hype up his upcoming match with Leon Ruff. Swerve Scott proposed a Falls Count Anywhere match, which will take place on next week's show. They loaded up next week's NXT. That's just one of the big matches. Also, Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart will be defending the women's tag team titles, which we'll talk more about here in just a moment. We had Toni Storm come to the ring for a match with Zeta Ramier, I think is how you pronounce her name. And before the match, Toni Storm cut a promo on Zoe Stark, said that she made Zoe famous, and Zoe is just going to be a footnote in Toni's legendary career. So you had this match, and it was basically a squash match. When all of a sudden, Zoe came down to the ring, caused a distraction, and Ramier picked up the surprise win, the 1-2-3 kid style victory with a shooting star press off the top. I would have liked this better if Toni Storm was on more of a win streak and not a total losing streak. Apparently, Toni Storm has not won a TV match in 2021, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but apparently, according to the Pro Fight database that tracks the wins and losses, she has not been winning matches in quite a while, and now you have her losing. So it doesn't really make it quite as much of an upset, in my opinion. And Hamp Connell says, any relation to Tony Stark? Well, I think there's probably the same relation as Toni Storm being related to Lance Storm. Let's just say that. We had Legado del Fantasma cut a brief promo for their main event match against MSK and Kushida. We then had Bronson Reed versus Austin Theory, and this is when the Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis storyline continued. Indy walked to the ring very upset that Dexter would send those flowers. You had Austin Theory feigning an injury. That led to Johnny Gargano hitting a super kick to Reed on the outside of the ring. And by the way, the stipulation of this match was that if Bronson Reed won, he would get another championship opportunity at Johnny Gargano. So after the commercial break, Reed made his comeback, and then both guys were down. Dexter Lumis appeared. Indy walked away. She got into the ring, and she told Dexter, "You talk too much," which is a soon-to-be clip on Botchamania. And Dexter ended up saving Indy, pushed her out of the way, and he took a shot from Austin Theory, falling off the apron in the process. But Reed was able to take down Theory, hit the tsunami, the big splash off the top, and scored the victory. And then backstage afterwards, the Way were having their argument, and Candice basically said that Shotzi and Ember are trying to steal Indy's man, and they need to do something about it. So it's not stalking, Caleb, because clearly in the storyline, Dexter is being set up. Those flowers were sent to try and break up Indy and Dexter. That's not a stalking storyline. We had LA Knight cut a promo talking about how after Dexter Lumis disappoints Indy, maybe Indy can hook up with him. We then had Imperium versus Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. Dane dominated the early part of the match, and then Drake, after hesitating for a moment, he tagged in. Imperium got the upper hand on Drake for a while. Drake went to tag Dane, but Dane got knocked off the apron, and it was 2-on-1 for a while. But then Dane made the save. Alexander Wolf was on the outside with a steel chair. He was going to use it. However, he hesitated there for a moment, and you had Dane and Wolf kind of just looking at each other, and then you had Dane knocked into the steel steps, and then back in the ring, Imperium hit the Euro bomb and scored the victory, pinning Drake Maverick. But yeah, little tease that there's still something there between the former Sanity members. Good stuff here. I like this storyline, and I like the Indy and Dexter storyline. We had Pete Dunne cut a promo and just basically said the whole locker room is on notice. He talked about all the champions and said he's coming for somebody. He wants a championship. We then had another segment with Cameron Grimes. He was trying on watches. He found the perfect watch. He had it rung up, but then there was a voice, a very familiar sounding voice that said, "Not a bad watch, kid, but not $1 million watch." And then, bam, it was Ted Dibiase, the $1 million man, laughing in Cameron Grimes' face. We finally got our Ted Dibiase, Cameron Grimes moment. Entertaining stuff here with these guys. Always good to see a Ted DiBiase cameo. TGS says, I think Grimes has main roster potential. I think you might be right, Tyler. I think Cameron Grimes has that entertainment value. You know, he's not the best wrestler. He's pretty solid. He's a good promo. And he's got a character, which is something that a lot of guys, especially in NXT and AEW, might lack a little bit. He's got the personality. You look at somebody like Elias, not the best wrestler in the brand, but he had that personality. He had that sports entertainment vibe to him, which Cameron Grimes definitely has. And yeah, I think you're right. I think Grimes will get on the main roster at some point, and you know, the gimmick might not make him a main event guy, but I think he'll have a couple of good years on the main roster doing his shtick. And at the very least, he'll get some TV time, maybe getting beat up by the bigger stars, but he'll get that TV time. We had what was supposed to be a tag team match between Aaliyah and Jessie Kamea from the Robert Stone brand against Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. But before the match could even get going, we had Candice LeRae and Indy attack them, and the Stone brand celebrated like they won the tag team titles. They were going crazy, having a good time. But yeah, next week, Candice and Indy will be in a tag team match challenging the champions, Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. We then had Adam Cole interviewed by Not Samoa Joe. First Adam Cole appearance since the Stand and Deliver pay-per-view. Cole basically said, even when he's not at 100%, he's better than the entire roster in NXT. In regards to the Undisputed Era split, he said, he doesn't make mistakes, he makes decisions. And he was carrying NXT on his back for the past 4 years. He talked about Kyle O'Reilly, said as long as Kyle is in NXT, or as long as Cole is in NXT, Kyle will not be taking his spot at the top. And then Cole talked about Karrion Kross, said that Kross is good, but is he great yet? Cole brought up the injury from the first time that Kross won the title and said, was it a freak mistake, or is Kross just not ready yet? And then Cole finished up by saying that he's not going to tell people what his plans are, and they're just going to have to wait and see. Kyle O'Reilly was shown watching this backstage. TJS says, are you disappointed that we got no Undisputed Era on the main roster? Yeah, a little bit. I think there was potential there, but with the pandemic, maybe it was best to not do that. If there was no pandemic, I think they should have gone with it and done something. Coming off of that 2019 Survivor Series, like I really thought you could have brought up the Undisputed Era and done something with them on the main roster. We then had a really interesting vignette, which got a lot of people talking. They aired this video which showed like MMA fighting. It had a very MMA vibe to it. But the takeaway from it is that there was a graphic that said Diamond Mine. And we had several diamonds shown on the screen. Now, why is this significant? Because a certain former Impact Wrestling World Champion had diamonds as part of that person's entrance. And that person is Tessa Blanchard. So what does this mean? Is this Tessa Blanchard? Is it Diamond Dallas Page coming back to WWE for a new gimmick? Israel Diaz says NXT Underground 2.0. I don't think it's that, but that little video package definitely got people talking on social media, and we'll see what happens with that. We then had our main event, Legado del Fantasma versus MSK and Kushida. Really good match here, as you would expect from these guys. They worked over Carter for a while, and then Kushida got the hot tag. The faces worked together well. Kushida held the ropes open so MSK could do their dives to the outside, but then you had Santos Escobar powerbomb Kushida through the announce table, which was the turning point in the match. However, MSK would not go down without a fight. They stayed in it. Kushida, even though doctors were checking on him, he still got back into the ring, but he quickly got laid out with the Phantom Driver, and then you had Carter finished off by Mendoza and Wilde. They hit their big move, and Mendoza pinned Carter to pick up the victory. So again, really fun match to close out the show. NXT was pretty solid this week, better than last week. I still wouldn't say it was like a must-see show. It was standard good wrestling and some fun vignettes. So I will give the show a solid B for NXT this week. Fun show to watch, pretty easy watch. I would not say you have to go out of your way to watch it, but it was a good show. I enjoyed it from start to finish. Next week is going to be a pretty big show with the two matches. Swerve Scott going up against Leon Ruff. That should be interesting. And then the tag team titles match. And also the return of Finn Balor. Balor will be back on next week's show. More about build for next week, though, as Israel Diaz says. He gives it a B. And MVP Kev and CC Drink also with a B. Tic Tat Tat with a B-, and Carla with a B+. Now, before I sign off here, and Daniel gives it a B+ as well, I do want to answer TJS's super chat. He says, top 3 Eagles songs. For me, Desperado, Hotel California, and Seven Bridges Road. Perhaps they aren't better than the Beatles, but I prefer them. Well, they cater more to the Southern folk. So I totally get that, TJS. And I do like the Eagles. Hotel California is a great song. Life in the Fast Lane is another one I like. Take It to the Limit is a good one. Those would probably be my top 3 Eagles songs. So thank you for that super chat, TJS. I do appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like. Spread the word. Tell a friend on social media. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest wrestling news and rumors. You can check out that Diamond Mine video over at NoDQ.com. Take care, everybody, and I will see you all